What's up, guys? New Moon Rapture here. So, I'm gonna just do a little talking here while I walk because there's so much that I want to say. And it's just, I don't want to put out so many videos in a day. So, when I put out more than one or two, they seem to not get very many views. And they don't get many views as it is, anyways. So, I wanted to talk about a couple things. And the first thing is that you see, if you're deceived right now and you think that Israel, that is the people of Israel over there, Jacob, then you're thinking that Jacob's trouble is going to start right now. But it's not going to start because that is not Jacob. That's not Israel. The people over there are the light-skinned people who are saying that they are Israel. Yes, they might. Then they might want to do a little research because that is not Israel. And I've proven time and time again through the Native Americans and all their traditions, and it's all straight from the Bible. They have 7 special days, and they go by 13 months, just like the Jewish people in the Bible. Just like Israel, just like everything that they teach is straight from the Bible. So I've shown that, and also how African Americans, the E1B1A DNA blood type is Sub-Saharan African, which is the line of the Hebrews. So we've got all these Christians thinking that the rapture, Steve Fletcher and a lot of guys, it's going to be right now because they see what's going on over there in the Middle East. And they say, well, Jacob's trouble is going to start. And that's not Jacob. It's amazing to me. Remember who the God of this world is. This is a great setup, grand illusion. And unfortunately, so many Christians are falling for it. The first Christians were Jewish, and they were black. And I prove that in Acts chapter 13, verse 1. It says that they were called nigger, Niger, which in the Strong's Concordance means dark in color and Christian. Dark in color and Christian. Jesus was not a light-skinned white man, okay? So anyways, the point to this one segment is that Jacob's trouble is not about to begin. And then that's why I'm not looking for the rapture, because that's not Jacob. And many other reasons I'm not looking for the rapture. If you've been keeping up with me for a while, you've seen all my patterns and all my numbers and everything that I've shown to show that the earliest time that I will be looking will be Feast of Trumpets 2024, which, depending on how you look at the calendar, turns into 2025 right there, which is October 2nd through October 4th. If there's an eclipse there, made a lot of videos about this. But the rapture will be from that day to September 23rd, 9/23, and 2025, the next Feast of Trumpets. We will not go past that year, that time period. I believe that is the window. Throughout all of my patterns, everything I've been led to find, so many videos, so much information. 2026, the year of the horse, white horse rider, and 2024, this year, is the year of the dragon. The next year is the year of the serpent on the Chinese calendar, because the dragon gets kicked out of heaven, forced to crawl on his belly, just like the beginning, Genesis 3:15, forced to crawl on his belly. What happens in the middle? The man-child is caught up. That's us. Okay. So, that's one thing that I want to talk about. It's a big thing, though. It's a big thing because that's the big thing right now, right? Is Israel and this war stuff. Well, if you look in the Strong's Concordance under the number 2024, it says media. So the war is Media Persia, right? Strong's Concordance. Amazing prophetic book. Not just a vocabulary book or whatever. So prophetic. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about, okay? And if you thought that Jacob's trouble was going to start, then you would be looking for the rapture right now, like Steve Fletcher and other people, okay? But that's not Jacob. So it's not going to start. Not yet. But it will on September 23rd, 2025. 923. So, anyways, getting on to my next point. The idea that Paul tells the Christians, I want to know nothing but Christ crucified. So many people take that and say, well, they just want to talk about Jesus dying on the cross and his resurrection. It's way deeper than that, though, guys. Romans chapter 6, 7, and 8. We see that we're crucified with Christ. 1 Corinthians 15 says that we die daily. Romans chapter 6 says that we're buried with him in baptism, the baptism of death. But ours is a spiritual. We don't literally die in the ground. But like I said, everything in the physical is to teach us the spiritual meaning and application of things, right? So Jesus is our ark, right? In a sense, I'm just giving you an example, right? And so when Paul says, I want to know nothing but Christ crucified, he's talking about us. He's talking about, I want to know everything about how you're crucifying the flesh, how you're dying daily, but it's really Christ in you, the hope of glory. Because Christ is the true daily sacrifice. But then it layers off into us. See, there's many layers, there's many dimensions to these things. So when Paul says, I want to know nothing among you but Christ crucified, he's not just talking about, let's just talk about Jesus dying on the cross, resurrecting from the dead. He's talking about you, not just Jesus, but you, now Christ in you, being crucified daily. See that? That's another layer to it that most people don't get, but it's right there in front of our faces. Romans chapter 6 is the greatest chapter to see that, in my opinion. Talks about our death and our resurrection. But it's not talking about a physical death and a resurrection. Just like when Paul says, I want to just know about Christ crucified. It's not talking about only Jesus on the cross and his resurrection. It's talking about you, your walk, Christ crucified. Testimony. See that? See, most people are just brought up to see one dimension, one layer of the Bible. They see black and white, when really there's lots of colors of the rainbow to the Bible. It's amazing. And this is what God is showing me. And I'm not putting anybody down who doesn't see it. I'm just saying so that you guys can see it. You have to broaden your horizon. Expand your understanding. Revelation. Ephesians chapter 1 verse 17. God wants every saved person to have revelation and the understanding. That's what I want. I just want to understand. What does this mean? What am I supposed to get from this? And God does show me things all the time now. And this is one of the things that he's showing me today. Is that when he talks about Christ crucified. Well, Christ is in you, the hope of glory, and you're crucified with Christ daily. So he's not just saying, let's talk about Christ on the cross and the resurrection. Let's talk about you. How you're doing. Your walk. Very interesting. Because I've never heard that either from anybody. I'm not bragging, but I never heard a lot of things that I'm given from from many people. But maybe I'm just, I don't know, given to me freely, so I give freely. I've asked for money a couple times, but that was only because I needed something to preserve my life, which somebody did help, which I'm greatly appreciative of. So again, when you look at the Bible, it's talking about you. You are part of it. It's like I've talked about, the Old Testament is a physical, the New Testament is a spiritual. Okay, so we look back in the Old Testament, and you can almost set it on top of the New Testament, but it's deep. It's showing you the physical, and you get to the spiritual understanding in the New Testament. The stories. For instance, Haman. Haman, in the book of Esther, is a type and shadow of the Antichrist, obviously. But look at his name. It's H-A-M-A-N. M-A-N. Haman. But what is he really doing? It's ha, man. He's laughing at man. Ha, man. They even put a dash there. God even put a dash there. Why is that? Because that's the type of shadow of the Antichrist. And what's the Antichrist have to do with? Artificial intelligence. Laughing at man. Ha, man. You see? Little treasures like that God shows me all the time. And I've talked about how in the book of Joshua, the place where Joshua defeats all the Nephilim armies or the seed of the serpent armies is called AI. Type of shadow of the last days. That's how the Bible is. It's in the physical. It's showing you way deeper things. So in the Old Testament, when all this was going on, they didn't know. But now it's being revealed. And Joshua means Jesus. So Jesus and the army defeats who? AI. Just like Joshua defeated the seed of the serpent at AI. See this? the Bible's not just a book. It ain't just a book written by man, boy. You want to talk about predictive programming? Who's the original predictive programmer? How I show in the movies, how they put it in years in advance, sometimes 10 years, 20 years. Yeah? Well, God did it about 2,500 years ago. Actually, about 6,000 years ago. Because he says he declares the end from the beginning. So, God did predictive programming 6,000 years old. And he said this. He said that it's going to repeat itself. That the lie is going to be they're going to want to be as gods. Just like the beginning. Well, what is coming up? The same lie. Thou shalt be as gods. What else is repeating itself? It's all repeating itself. Cain had a mark symbolic of in the last days, kind of. The mark of the beast. Right? Eating the forbidden fruit that has many meanings, layers, dimensions. So over 2,000 years ago, Joshua, which means Jesus, defeated the seed of the serpent at AI. That's pretty good predictive programming if you ask me. Because now here we are over 2,000 years. And we see the predictive programming. And it was hidden. I remember reading over that at the coffee shop, and God just pulled my eyes back to AI when I was reading Joshua. And I said, wow, that's interesting. AI. Joshua means Jesus. He's fighting all these Nephilim armies at AI. Oh, isn't that kind of like the last days? And then I seen Haman in the Old Testament, in the book of Esther, the Old Testament. I said, that's H-A-M-A-N. Ha, man. So the Antichrist, artificial intelligence, partially, is laughing at man. Ha, man. These are mysteries reserved for the last days. So those are just a couple things I wanted to talk about. If you're stuck in a denomination like dispensationalism or any denominationalism, any denomination, they will blind you. They will keep you in a box, and you will not see the bigger picture to Scripture. Because really, all these stories, once you get old enough, you're like, these all can apply to me. And God meant that. He meant that to do that. Job. Come on, who can't deal with Job and say, geez, that's kind of like my struggles. Noah. We're all kind of Noah right now, right? Get in the ark. It's going down. Adam. So many of us, right? Eve's out there. We can all associate ourselves with the characters, the people in the Bible. Because the Bible is a macrocosm of every single one of our lives as a microcosm. That's what it is. So, thanks for listening to me, guys. God bless.